Hello beautiful people, so welcome to your outdoor practical application of astrology. As you can hear, it's raining. This is England after all, so summer or not, it is raining. And yeah, I just decided to record my practical application of astrology after I already recorded my astrological forecast today, because I re-listened to it, and of course I have made some mistakes, as I usually do, because when I am in my right brain, my logical mind is not so engaged. So do excuse the few mistakes that I have made, especially when I was talking about the fixed cross and then how the air and fire signs trine and support each other and stuff like that. So anyway, so do excuse these mishaps and this misspoken stuff with regards to technicalities, but all in all, and also the the noise disruption towards the end of the video when my friends came home, which, like I said, I'm cohabiting with other people, so there is not very much I can do, and because I cannot control other people and what they do and their noise levels. So do excuse all of that if you did watch it or if you are watching it. But I still decided to keep that video because I think some very good messages came through. However, I feel that there was something I was circling around, which I want to start with actually before I go into my personal share. Something that I was circling around, which I was kind of like, why is Spirit so adamant? Sorry that I have mosquitoes flying around me. Spirit was adamant for me to talk about this ground fixed cross, right? And I was even talking about this need for decentralization and how these things are happening and will continue to happen in the world around us, to show us how we are vulnerable, because we are dependent on a system that are very tightly centralized, right? And then I was like, well, this is out of alignment with the age of Aquarius, because it shouldn't, I didn't say shouldn't be so, but then I understand now what I was circling around, but I couldn't get to the core of it, because also I was kind of listening for when my friends were coming back home. So I was slightly bit distracted, so I couldn't fully, be concentrated like 100%. But anyway, all that said, now I understand what I didn't say. So it was like, yes, we are all connected, with regards to spirit, and we are all part of oneness, but with regards to decentralized systems that are currently in charge of everything, it's all about this fixed cross, which is about this: do we share the same values? It's also about this complete self-acceptance, because just like was again circling around in the video, when we accept ourselves and we fulfill our needs, and also where we give ourselves the permission to be who we are and tune into our heart and follow our purpose, it is so much easier, just as I mentioned in that video, to just allow other people to be exactly that, because usually our relationships with other people are a mirror to us, and it's an opportunity for learning, which is, like I said, I have things to share about that. But if we don't allow ourselves that, if we are at the war with ourselves, we judge ourselves, we don't value ourselves, or don't allow ourselves to be authentic and live a life in alignment with our needs and values and do what makes us happy, then we usually cast much faster, which cast judgment onto others, and it's much harder for us to accept other people for who they are. So with regards to what I was circling around in that video, what I was really not saying was that it is not a problem if there is, for example, let's say communities, right? Because I was talking about the utopia that, one size fits all, but, it doesn't allow for people to be authentic. What is needed is this allowing people to be who they are, and for people to meet their needs and to allow themselves, give themselves permission and accept themselves completely, words and all. And this then will allow us to accept the other person, and also it will remove this need for control, and also this desire to judge or shame or point fingers at someone else because you didn't meet my needs or whatever. Because that's what I feel like when we heal and become whole, right? Because that's the healing, and the, you know, this Virgo Pisces that was coming up for me, this healing and wholeness. When we give ourselves that, then it's much easier for us to go back to wholeness, like, you know, as a oneness and namaste, I see you, you know, and I don't have to go into war with you, because I accept myself completely. So again, I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but I wanted to add this before I start with anything else with regards to the astrological forecast, because like I said, there were a few things, you know, technical things that my tongue slipped and I said something completely stupid, but you know, my Virgo on 8th house will just have to live with that and release imperfect video, including all the noises that were in the background towards the end, because I still feel that the message was valuable. So I'm you know, I have published it by this point, because I'm planning to publish this video afterwards. So anyway, guys, as you can see, I'm slowly getting wet over here. I do hope that the rain will cease. It wasn't even supposed to rain today, but this is England after all, so you know, the rain is always to be expected. But anyway, without going into weather in a good English fashion, you know, just like I was, and this is why I actually wanted to start this video with that, because it really nicely ties up to what I have been experiencing in the past couple of weeks, because I did not manage to record my practical application of astrology last weekend, which, to be honest, I wouldn't have very much to share from a high vibration perspective, because it was just a complete chaos. I a little bit I don't know if underestimated or overestimated, but it was definitely one of the two extremes, just how stressful the transitionary week of me leaving Bulgaria, packing all my things, leaving Bulgaria, coming to Slovakia, again rearranging all my things, deciding what to take to England, with the understanding that I'm heading to US as well for the second half of my 3 months that I have to stay away from Europe. And then, you know, getting everything organized at the same time, trying to spend time with my family, and being school holidays in Europe, my little nephews being at my parents, because they are grandparents after all, on daily basis, which as people know with small children, my nephews are 2 and 4. There is, you know, you can plan all you want, but these little ones, especially because they are Capricorn, Pluto Capricorn generation, they will not necessarily understand or support your plans, right? Because they have a mind of their own, and they are their own authority, and even at that very young age they already are very wired into that energy. So anyway, so it was quite challenging week, and I even felt that all the high vibration and frequency and experiences that I was very fortunate to have while I was in Bulgaria, because it is very special place for me, especially Bansko, and the fact that it's the one and only place I have ever had a place all to myself. Like it's only a studio apartment which I rented over there, but it was my place. You know, I could make it look whichever way I want and live on my own rhythm, in my own rules, which of course is its own extreme, because we cannot always live that way. You know, just do what we want, when we want, how we want, and all the rest of it, which is how it seems to be the pattern in my life, that I keep penduluming from you know, that extreme to another extreme, like, oh yeah, here I have my place, you know, my witch cave or my hermit cave or something, and then I go and spend time with my family, which is the complete opposite, or in this case currently with my friends here in the UK with their kids, which again, you know, it's like completely different dynamic over there. So anyway, so where I'm heading with all of this, and then of course I had an overnight at the airport, because I had a very early morning flight, and in Slovakia it is not quite as I don't know even what word to use, not like it is not quite as it is in other countries where everything is available to you at all times. So, you know, like you have to make preparations and plan ahead. There is no public transport late at night or whatever. So my parents dropped me at the airport the night before, at the time that was obviously still convenient for them, being older, and my dad doesn't like driving at, you know, at the dark and stuff. So I spent the night at the airport, but it's gone very quickly because the time is passing very quickly these days, as we all know. And then I flew to the UK, and straight away from the moment I arrived at the UK, I felt like this wave of density, which again, if anybody is watching me and lives in the UK, I mean, no offense, this is just how I perceive it, this, especially because of the you know, massive shift of coming from Bulgaria and then coming to the UK, it was just such a huge contrast, you know, what I've been experiencing energetically in Bulgaria, and then in Slovakia I was just so busy, I guess I wasn't even able to tune in very much, and then this contrast of what it was like, what it felt like to land in the UK and be in this environment, and this entire time I was feeling like I am not supposed to be here, you know, like I even was trying to describe this to my soulsis Marisa in our personal conversation, that I feel like you know, in this Matrix movie or any other movie, there are plenty, you know, movies where there was this picture being shown where there are glitches, you know, like you there and then you're not there, you there and then you're not there, like a hologram. And that's exactly how I felt, like, you know, I'm here but I'm not supposed to be here. Obviously, you know, everything is always perfect and we are always where we're supposed to be at every moment of time, and I know what is the reason and purpose of me being here and the things that I have to take care of, but it was still really, really weird. And yeah, and then I wasn't even expected. My friend didn't expect me to arrive when I did arrive, so that was all a little bit weird, because there was nothing arranged for the room where I was staying, so that all had to be like done very quickly. Then there was problem with the trains and, you know, all the rest of it, so it was all really weird. And then ever since I arrived, I've been here now a week, things just like when I was in Mexico, small things started going wrong with like just small annoyances, nothing like life-threatening or anything, just small annoyances, which again, just like when I was in Mexico, I started feeling that I don't feel that I'm supposed to be here anymore. But anyway, this is not even point, like I'm just literally retelling you the story of my life over here in the past week. But the what I really wanted to share, which, you know, I feel I can tie it up nicely to what I started with regards to this grand fixed cross, and, you know, like for us being able to meet our needs and to be able to be authentic and stuff. And while I was in Slovakia, because of all the chaos and stress and overstimulation with the external environment, I forgot to attend the meeting. It was not a professional thing, so it wasn't like it wasn't a work related as per se. It was a catch up with someone, an acquaintance, and it completely came out, like it just disappeared from my head. And also because it was not booked through my Zoom, I didn't get a notification. So anyway, all that said, when I realized, and then I reached out to the person and apologized, the person took it very personally, and obviously, you know, it made me feel bad, and also, you know, the ego wants to be always right, so it made me go straight into the defense. And you know, and obviously that the person got upset and stuff. So anyway, I don't want to go into details of all of that, but I was then, as I usually do, once, you know, the first knee-jerk reaction passes of the ego that wants to be right and, you know, tell me a million reasons why, you know, I'm right and the other person is wrong, I started thinking deeply about it. And this usually happens when I'm doing my yoga, just like it happened then. And I tried to understand, like, why did this happen? It never happened to me ever. I'm Taurus sun, so I'm super reliable and I always have everything organized and stuff. So I was like, okay, why did this happen? Why did this situation happen? Especially because last time I was in the UK, I experienced the same being done to me, that people stood me up or didn't turn up, didn't show up for arranged meeting or something. And of course I took it personally as well, because these wounds of, like, you know, which personal and also collective, not being good enough, not feeling valued, not feeling that people value our time, or not feeling special, that you don't make time for me and stuff. So it's all about this ego that tries to protect us, you know, to try to defend us, and, you know, we go into this state, right? Feeling sorry for ourselves and feeling like it's somebody else's fault, pointing fingers, judging, shaming, blaming. And also at the same time, because in this case I was the bad guy, I was the one that stood this person up, it was about this guilt and shame, the inferior ego. We go from the inferior to superior, you know, the inferior, like, oh, I'm a bad person, you know, and shame on me and stuff like that. And then we go into the superior, well, it's not my fault, you don't know what's going on in my life and stuff like that, which is again both extremes, right? No, it's not heart-centered consciousness. And then I actually, through my yoga, when I was asking these deeper questions, okay, what is the learning in this? Like, why would I attract this situation into my life? You know, why would I blanked on this person, right? I understood that this was an opportunity, and obviously I don't know what, I understand what opportunity that could have been for the other person if that person chose to see it that way, which they didn't, they weren't interested in my insights, and I wasn't forcing it onto them. But anyway, for me, what was the aha moment, because like I said, I had similar thing being done to me recently, only a month ago. I understood, and this is personal and collective again, because of the wounding that we are trying to heal collectively, which is what we see manifested in the outer reality, all this separation, division, finger pointing, my truth is bigger than your truth, you wrong, I'm right, all these kind of things, which is what keeps us separate, and what creates these continuous reasons for war, right? So anyway, so what I realized, being on the other side of the same coin, was that, well, I haven't even forgiven those, this person, those people that stood me up last month, because I was holding judgment, because I felt holier than thou, and these people were the bad people, and I was holding judgment, and I didn't forgive them. I couldn't let it go. I was like, there was still this sour taste in my mouth, thinking about it and going like, oh yeah, like this person, blah blah blah, and all these things, because I'm a human just like everyone else, and I still struggle with with these kind of things myself. And then I realized what was the learning in that, which was, well, that we are being programmed and conditioned, especially by the Pisces age, to continuously strive for perfection and expect perfection, continuously want people to be perfect, people to be what we want them to be, to fit certain mold, to fit into certain box, that we want to put them into, because this is what we were being not done to, but this is what we experienced, which is, again, it's been passed on from generation to generation, that this is what we all been experiencing, especially throughout Pisces age, where we were being taught to don't like ourselves because we are so imperfect, and God forbid you make mistake, and you should be ashamed of yourself, and God forbid you then make mistakes with regards to someone else, and then you're just horrible person, and you're not it's not to be forgotten and forgiven ever, and stuff like that, which is all these wounds of the past that needs healing. So that was the first thing, the first realization that, nobody's perfect. I am not perfect. I'm sorry. Yes, I made mistake. I am not perfect. And then trying to explain myself, I was being told that I was making excuses and making it all about myself, which, again, I take the blame. I take my part of the blame, which is like takes two to tango, of course. But, I do take responsibility, Capricorn full moon over here, that yes, I made mistake. I underestimated, overestimated, I overbooked myself, and all the rest of it. Yes, I made a mistake. I take the responsibility for it 100%. But then, and as I said, I am not perfect. Nobody is perfect, But the other aspect of the same thing was, apart from this perfection, need for perfection, was we never really know. Just like I don't really know what was going on in these people's lives that stood me up last month, or, that didn't make the effort to come and see me, meet me, or, whatever. And then I thought like, well, they making excuses as well and making it about themselves. I actually responded in a very similar way like this person. So we can just see how we mirror each other and how we attract opportunities and situations into our life that will allow us to re-experience the same thing, just like, when we reincarnate. One lifetime you are the husband, one lifetime you are the wife, and then you have the opportunity to see it from both perspectives and then heal it, right? So for me, this was exactly that. Like, yeah, I could see this like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. But then the other aspect was like, well, I don't really know what's going on in this person's life. I could go into, I'm just sliding down the hill here, trying to hide under the tree. So I could go into judgment like, well, all this kind of superlative labels, like, well, I don't know, who does this person think it is? Just like, they don't know what's going on in my life. Well, nor do I. I don't know what's going on in this person's life. And it's the same for everyone, we are so fast to judge and, throw the stones and put the labels on people because they don't fit certain mold and they don't fulfill our needs, which is actually the whole core of this message. They don't fulfill our needs. And then because we have this unhealed aspects of ourselves where we believe this about ourselves, you know, like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, that they are disrespecting me because blah blah blah. And it's all these things which we are at the war with ourselves, this Taurus, and then we attract people who will confirm that for us, and that is the opportunity for healing, to change the pattern and go, actually no, this is not the truth, and I don't wish to, you know, like keep attracting, I don't need to attract the same lesson, because now I understand what it was about. Now, yes, not everything is acceptable, and if you have a friend that continuously stands you up, or, you know, is late or whatever, then it's up to each and every single one of us to discern how important is this thing for me, you know, for people to turn up on time or something, or then is this actually a good match for me with regards to relationship, you know, with regards to this person and me, you know. So again, there is no judgment, there is just about us knowing ourselves, us accepting ourselves. And it was beautiful how then subsequently I had a conversation with my good friend Adrian just before we recorded our last video, Capricorn full moon video. And she said she was experiencing similar situation with regards to someone in her environment, that they, you know, were classing judgment with regards to who she was. But she responded in a very mature way and said, like, well, but this is who I am. This is who I authentically am. You know, doesn't mean that we don't need to change or evolve, or, you know, like, obviously if there is something that that can be how you say, softened around the edges with regards to our personality as well, but our reaction to certain situation, or how we behave, or how we communicate, or whatever. But all in all, this is who I am. You know, this is who I am. I am not gonna be anybody else. You know, doesn't mean that I'm gonna stand everybody up. You know, like I said, this was like a one-off thing for me, and I was very surprised that it even happened, because it never happened for me. You know, first time for everything. But it's about this Taurus. Do I accept myself who I am? So I could go into this judgment, and, you know, like there is, like I said, these two types of ego. It's the inferior ego, which you go and judge yourself, how bad you are, how not good enough, how awful, you know, all these bad things about ourselves. Or then there is the superior ego, which then goes and judges the other person and say, well, I'm the good one, you know, I'm the one on the horse, and you are the bad person, and, you know, like, you should look into the mirror and stuff. And I'm not, you know, that was my first response, just like that was that person's first response, and that was my response last month and stuff. And this is what I mean. This is what will keep this perpetuating suffering and division and separation, because we cannot accept ourselves. So then we project our unmet needs onto someone else, and we want this validation, Leo. You know, we want this external validation from this other person to make us feel good about ourselves, to prove to us that what is unhealed within me, that I'm wrong about. But actually we need to do it ourselves. These people can't do it for us. We need to do it ourselves, because the inside out process. So this was actually, you know, unfortunately, seems like the person, you know, wasn't really impressed by my communication and response. And, you know, what it is what it is. You know, like I said, some people just come to our life for a season to teach us lesson. But for me, this was such a beautiful opportunity for healing, because until this point, when I had this interaction with this person, I didn't even realize that I was still holding grudge against these people from 1 month ago, you know, that I was still like, oh yeah, these people, you know, they didn't turn up, they canceled on me, you know, like blah, 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 blah. And, you know, still like being bittersweet about it. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on in these people's life, you know, I don't really know their story. They might be going through a lot of stuff. They might be overwhelmed. They might be just like me last week. Like, you know, it's not an excuse. Like, I know what I was going through. And I'm like, I was going through what I was going through, good, bad, you know, was it self-inflicted? Yes, very, very likely. But I was going through what I was going through. I was feeling what I was feeling. And yeah, my choices had a consequences. So yes, I have to take a responsibility for it and, you know, plan accordingly next time, you know, discern, right? But it just makes me human. You know, it makes me human just like everyone else, that yes, we make mistakes and nobody is perfect, but this is how we learn. Would I have not had that experience, I wouldn't have known. Would I have not had this experience, I couldn't have healed this experience I had last month, which I didn't even know needed healing. So how is this expanding onto this topic, which I started with, that is connected to this, you know, what's going on in the world, Capricorn full moon, and everything that's connected to that, with all the other aspects that are supporting the same topic. And just like I said, with this centralized system we are experiencing at the moment, we expecting someone else to take care of our needs. We expecting someone else to tell us what to do, who to be, what is our purpose. And because of that, this system is playing the role it's playing, which is not always the positive one, right? Because this is the role they play. Just like this person, for me, this interaction wasn't necessarily pleasant. It didn't feel comfortable, not at all, but it helped me to grow. Just like when my tongue slipped again during my astrological forecast, when I said that these fixed signs, the ground fixed cross, that they support each other because they speak the same language. And many people might say, how do squares support each other? Like, come on, what is she talking about? It's the trines and sextiles, right? But I understand now what spirit meant, because from evolutionary astrology, as I keep saying, squares are seen as positive because they make change. They push us, force us to create change in our life. So yes, these fixed signs, they can be very rigid. They're good for perseverance and strong will, like the card that came up for me and my solstice, Marisa, for the Capricorn full moon, stars and cards, the card of will, strong will. That's important with the strong, with the fixed signs, but the lower vibration polarity of the rigidity to stay attached to something. So, so this is how it support each other. It gets so uncomfortable until we have to change, we have to change, we have to break free and break out of that fixed pattern, of that something that is actually dwarfing our evolution and preventing us from going to the next level, from evolving. So in this case, because I was still carrying all this density and these, low vibrational feelings, these dense feelings, which I didn't even see, I didn't even know, because it's so familiar. It's so familiar for us to feel this way, to go judge, blame, point fingers, put labels on people, and it's so familiar. It is so embedded in our subconsciousness, because this is how we've operated for such a long time. I didn't even think twice about it. I didn't even think like, oh, this might be something that might be creating the same frequency coming back into my life, until it did. And then I was on the other side of the coin, and then had to look at it from different perspective, different point of view, and that allowed me to release that energy from past month. And then the other aspect of it, which I wanted to talk about because of my current living circumstances, and my living circumstances and my parents, I spoke about this many times, and I come back to it because it's relevant. When we don't meet our needs, we then get angry with our external environment. So in this case, I know very well that I need my space. I need my space for myself. I thrive the most when I can, and again, you cannot control in the environment. This is where my rigid Taurus come in, because, I want to control it and I want it to be just so, right? But I know that long term, it becomes very challenging for me to thrive in an environment, for example, that is very loud, that is, that there is, for example, a lot of arguing going on, or, a lot of loud television or whatever, which is why, when I live on my own, just like in Bulgaria or even in Mexico, even though I wasn't living on my own, but I had my, own space, I can, I have my cave, I have my space, which, I can, fulfill my needs. I can meditate if I need, do yoga, wake up whatever time, go to sleep whatever time, eat whatever time, stuff like that, just basic needs. And, I'm trying to be very mindful about, not slipping into my rigidity and say, well, this is who I am, I'm not going to change, because of course we know there is always, with these fixed signs, there is always a space for, for change and for, like growing, like just like I said, with the fixed growth, it supports us in evolution, right? This is how it supports us. It's not always comfortable. So anyway, so now what I'm observing, and there are multiple things that I'm observing, obviously, because of the people around me and how my needs are or not are being able to be met or not, and how that is obviously pushing me to be creative, just like now recording this video outdoors, because actually the nature noises of the rain are more plaudible for me, more digestible than the noises, the other kind of noises, slamming doors and the rest of it. So, this is what I'm choosing for myself, and also being able to speak freely and try to process these things for myself without filter. But at the same time, so yes, so like it is up to me. I have a choice. I can do and create different arrangements for myself. Now, whether I have the resources or or there are availabilities to be able to create this choice, that's again is my choice. I have to take responsibility, which is the other aspect of this situation, that there has been this energy that's been present and popping up that is very uncomfortable and very low vibrational, that is again putting me into defense mode, and Libra, this is not fair, and all the rest of it. And like it's also bringing into the question certain relationships and certain relational dynamics, which again I go back to what I was talking about in my astrological forecast with this centralized system, and this utopia of this communism, communistic way of living, which wasn't a bad idea as long as these people are compatible. It's the Aquarius, is the equality. Nobody is the hierarchy, just like the cards that came out, the card of leadership. We need to be our own leader and support each other in seeing the leader in the other person, their own North Star. Everybody has their own North Star. Just like, I keep saying to my clients, I can't tell you what to do, only you know what is your North Star, what is your sense of purpose, because it's inside you, right? So anyway, so going back to, trying to not go too far into rabbit holes and too far off the track I'm talking about. These are multiple things, because of course Taurus and Libra, there is an inconjunction, but currently South Node is in Libra, North Node is in Aries, and we know that not everybody will follow you where you are going to go. This Aries in trine with Sagittarius and Leo, like we are tapping into this new energy, into this new frequency. And not all the people that are currently present in your life will be going there with you, because we're growing and evolving and our needs and values are changing. And this is what I meant about the centralized system versus decentralized system, and about this fixed cross. If there is a system in place that is built on this survival, Taurus, and it's like, yeah, we share the same needs, and and it's same purpose, whatever, which was at the old age survival, like, oh yeah, this makes things easier, let's just give our power to someone else who knows better than us, who is like more educated or whatever, more powerful, or any whatever, doesn't matter. Well, straight away that makes us feel disempowered, because we have to hope and trust that this person has our best interest as their best interest, which is what I'm personally experiencing right now in my life. Does this person have my best interest as a part of their best interest, or are they just looking out for their best interest and they don't care about me or my needs? Which is again, this is where we feel this centralization, that there is someone. This is just a small example, and it's nothing obvious, it's not even comparable, it's just for the analogy, explanation, that if I depend on someone, for example, for, the place where I'm staying, regarding, resources or, relationships or something, just like people in certain relationship dynamic where, they are being abused, for example, but they depending on this person because of resources, or because of the affection, or because of survival, or whatever. This person has the monopoly, they are in power, just like this system, like I was describing in the, in my astrological forecast, with regards to what happened on Friday. If everything is so tightly interconnected and being centralized, and something goes wrong, it affects everyone, but not always in a positive way, because the people in charge might not have your best interest as a part of their best interest. And this is the caveat which I missed out on, bringing through when I was talking about my astrological forecast, which is why I'm recording this video wearing the same thing in the nature, getting rained on under the tree. So anyway, so this is what I mean. The Aquarian age is about equality. Nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody's needs are more important than anybody else. Nobody's sense of purpose is more important than anybody else. Everybody has a role to play, and whatever role you play is just as needed as somebody else's. Whether you are a doctor, lawyer, or you sweep the street or work in a grocery store, everybody is needed and their role is needed. It doesn't matter who you are and what you do. Your unique light, your unique soul signature is needed exactly for what it is, unique, right? So this is what I mean because like I said, it's going to be more and more the pressure for us to create decentralized system. Now, how this is going to come around, where we're going to having to have to discover for ourselves what's important to me, who I am, you know, what makes me happy, what is my sense of purpose, how can I self-actualize, what is my authentic expression, you know. For example, like imagine you living with the people who try to, I think my friend's partner described it to me, somebody described, or it might have been my solstice, somebody described it to me this, and I think it was was it my soul? I don't know, somebody described it. I get so many, you know, information from, you know, obviously like everyone everywhere. I forgot now who said it. Imagine you are a diabetic and everybody around you, you know, like sugar, you know, it's not that those people's fault, you know, that you are a diabetic, and you cannot expect everybody around you to stop eating sugar just because you can't, right? But it's about, well, is there, you know, or, you know, if you live with the smokers and you are not a smoker yourself, is it a match? You know, is it a much or is it not a much? You know, we can maybe stay a few days around these people, but long term, how is it going to impact you? So with regards to this decentralization that is happening, starting to happen on planet Earth because of this energy, Aquarian energy, and all this, especially this, you know, Mercury square to Uranus that we are experiencing just before Mercury, actually, you know, on Monday, just before Mercury moves into Virgo next week. This is literally it. Sometimes we have to make a choice. Sometimes we have to make an adjustment. You know, Mercury is currently the ruler of Mars and Jupiter, you know, and Mars is the ruler of the North Node, how Pluto acts consciously. Mars is just about to have an opposition with Pluto on Monday. You know, this is all happening simultaneously. This is literally a real life. You know, how is it showing in this case my life, because obviously I'm not living your life, that we have this opponent, this other person, we have this illumination, you know, like you knew this all along. This is something that matters to you. These are your needs, you know, like, yes, you know, you can adjust yourself for a certain period of time, but if you are not compatible with this environment, with these people, then, you know, you will have to make a choice. You either will keep sacrificing, but then don't blame the other person for not fulfilling your needs, because, you know, their needs might be different from yours. And this is what I mean. When the centralized system have your best, but again, you know, centralized doesn't work because it just expects everybody to have the same needs, you know. So again, I don't know if I'm able to bring the message through for it to make sense, but you know, for me it's so clear because I'm literally living this, you know, I'm literally experiencing this in my real life, of having to become acutely aware again of my needs and where my needs are or are not being met, where I am able or not being able to be authentic because my external environment says, well, you know, just suck it up or change your perspective, and completely, you know, invalidates my feelings or something, like, well, you know, whatever, which is true, you know, like, yes, perception perspective, change of perception perspective can, you know, change everything, of course. But again, is there a frequency match? You know, are these people's best interest, this, you know, do they have your best interest as a part of their best interest, you know? And with regards to the world we're living in right now, does everyone out there in charge have your best interest as their best interest? I don't think so, you know. So this is why this have to take place, you know, where by, you know, as our best interests, our needs are not being met, we have to go within. Chiron is about to go retrograde next week. We have to go within and discover what are my needs, where are my needs not being met, and then based on discovering your need and then giving yourself permission to need what you need and be authentic, you then will attract people who have similar needs and are also authentic. But you need to be able to be your leader and see the other person as a leader, which is these new conscious relationships. Nobody is above anybody else. And, you know, this fluidity and flexibility, just like I was describing, you know, that's why we have the mutable sign after the fixed sign, because that mutable sign say, okay, but there is an evolution happening and these things will not stay the same forever, just like in nature we have the season changing, right? So this is the thing, you know, like these new systems that will be created, there is no rigidity saying you have to stay exactly like this. You know, it will give opportunities to people to be fluid, like, okay, yeah, you know, we used to be best friends and we share the same needs and same interests, and this is who I was at the time, but maybe I am not the same person anymore, and maybe my needs change, and maybe, you know, we just need to go in separate direction now or whatever. So that's what I mean. And this is where we just go, you know, once we accept ourselves and we stop being at war with ourselves and anticipate or expect other people to fulfill our needs and see us for something that we can't even see in ourselves, you know, then we can do the namaste and say, like, yeah, it's okay, you know, we just, you know, there are other people in the world that you can connect with, or there are other people that will have your best interest as their best interest, because it will be compatible, right? So anyway, guys, it's getting very heavy rain, so I will have to get going, and you know, because I'm outdoors, there is no channeled message and there is no cards to pull, but you know, I thought that this was very important, potentially personal share to share, because maybe other people are going through similar experiences where they are being acutely aware where their needs are not being met, or where they feel they cannot be authentic around their, you know, environment, because, and also where their environment might or might not have their best interest as a part of their best interest, which is technically what Teal Swan, you know, says is a definition of love, for someone to see you as a part of themselves, your best interest, their best interest, right? You know, your needs, their needs, similar, compatible. So this is the Aquarian age. There is no hierarchy. There's gonna be equality. Everybody is their own leader, because nobody has your North Star. You have your own North Star, just like the card said, that the one I pulled in a astrological forecast. And also it's about this fluidity, you know, this continuous fluidity. Uranus is going to move into Gemini. Gemini is a mutable sign. We always can make a new choice. It doesn't make you wrong. You know, it's just life. It's evolution. And also, even if you make mistakes, you have the right as a human to make a different choice and go in a different direction. Like, okay, you know, and this is the main thing, that need for healing, this need for perfection, and everybody to be perfect and, you know, not make mistake ever. Because if nobody ever made mistake, humanity would be long dead, you know, or humanity would be, you know, like still in a cave, you know, because this is how we evolve, and it's part of being human. And this is how the systems we are experiencing at the moment, like I said, will become more and more obsolete the more and more we realize how vulnerable we are, because everything is centralized and owned by this very small percentage of people that have a control and power over everything, and they do not have your best interest as a part of their best interest, because that's the role they came here to play, to help us to wake up and step into our own power, become our own Capricorn, 29 degrees Capricorn full moon, which, like I said, is going to be reactivated by Pluto's transit, the last one through Capricorn, because Pluto is only going to stay on 29 degrees, and it's also reactivating the Pluto conjunction, the last one and the last one in the sign of Capricorn that happened in January, right? So I'm like, you can't make this up, guys. Seriously, you know, this is like, you know, how in microcosm we might be experiencing the macrocosm, but it's teaching us the same thing. We need to change our approach to ourselves. It's all these sextiles with Taurus flavor. The foundation has to change, and it has to come from within, inside out. It's about this knowing who you are, know thyself, right? And this acceptance of who you are. Doesn't mean you don't need to change, or you won't have to change, or, you know, but accepting this is who I am right here, right now. This is what I have to offer, and you don't have to change for nobody, because you are the way you are, because that's what you are and who you are and where you are at. And who is there to judge that that's wrong and you should be someone different and you should be perfect, because perfection doesn't exist, right? So anyway, guys, once again, I hope that, you know, I was able to make this understandable. And once again, I'm sorry for the mistakes that I made in my previous video, where I slipped my tongue a few times. Also, Chiron is not staying retrograde till 2029. It's gonna be retrograde on the 29th of December, okay? Just the last correction. But anyway, just take what resonates and leave the rest. And I'm also a human. I make mistakes. Yes, sometimes I forget. And yeah, and sometimes I make choices that you can label as stupid, because I need to learn my own lessons, and then, you know, then I can share it, so somebody else can potentially learn too, right, with me. So anyway, guys, this is where I'm at. I'm now probably gonna get even more wet walking home, but c'est la vie. Yeah, this is England. I didn't bring my umbrella. I should have known better, right? I should have known better, England. But I wish you all a wonderful, I don't know when I'm posting this, wonderful whatever, rest of the day, rest of the week, wonderful Leo season. Yes, wonderful Leo season, because we are entering into the Leo season on Monday, and that is all about self-actualization, authenticity, and our purpose. So do you feel you can be authentic and feel self-actualized, and are your needs being met in these environments? Because like I said, this card is cardinal, I don't know why I keep saying cardinal, fixed cross is supporting us by making things challenging. If this is not being met, if your needs are not being met, if you don't feel that you can be authentic and follow your purpose and be happy and joyous, and if you feel somebody else holds a power over you, and you don't feel that you can be free, but you know, in order to survive you have to completely disconnect and detach yourself and see that other person is separate, a change has to take place. So let's take this from micro to macro and see what's going on. And this is why the world as we know it has to change, and will have to be decentralized, because the powers as they are and the system as they are do not have your best interest as the part of their best interest. You know, and this is something that I'm discovering in my own life, in interaction with people who I thought were my friends, but they don't have my best interest as a part of their best interest. And you know, we'll see how this goes, right? But there is no right and wrong. This is all, you know, everybody's playing a role of a teacher in our life to help us to learn, grow and evolve. So much love everyone, and bye for now.